Hey, what's up, guys? JLT here. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes because, as usual, I think some people suddenly see it's half eight, panic, and come online. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes until we actually get stuck into the fat loss slap. What you can do before we get started is, first of all, get yourself a piece of paper or a pad and a pen. This is going to be a little bit interactive at times. I want to keep you awake, get you doing some stuff along the way. And also be aware of the buttons you've got where you can ask questions. It's totally anonymous. I'm not going to call out your names or anything like that. So as we go along, if you've got anything you want to ask, then please write it in the question box. And when I get to the end, if I haven't answered your question as part of the webinar, then I will answer it at the end. Okay, so just bear that in mind. If any questions come into your head about fat loss, mindset, nutrition, all that sort of stuff, this is your time. This is your chance to ask the question, and I will answer the best I can. Okay, so make sure you got that pen and paper, and then basically what we're going to cover tonight is what I call the fat loss slap. So this is kind of a problem that a lot of people experience, where they try and lose weight, they desperately put in the effort, but all that happens is you end up maybe getting some results. You might lose a few pounds, and then you get that magic moment where sometimes you just don't understand it, and it's like a punch in the gut, and you suddenly realize, well, that didn't work again. I've fallen back. I've slipped back into old habits. And like I said in the intro to this webinar, it's almost like when your older brother gets bigger, he gets stronger, and every time he punches you on the arm, it hurts even more. Okay, so it makes life pretty difficult for you, because every time you fail, every time you try to lose weight and fail, it becomes more and more of a battle. You see getting fit as a battle, and all that happens is that you kind of convince yourself you can't do it, and it scares you to ever try again. And I want to put an end to that. So for some of you guys, a lot of the guys on this call, I recognise your names from fitness camps and online coaching and stuff like that, which is great. Some of you might not know a lot about me. Maybe you just sort of come on the scene recently, which I'm very grateful for. It's always good to be able to share the information with new people. I want to make kind of a preemptive apology as we go through this. Some of you might know that funnily enough, I can't even remember, a couple of weeks ago now, I had really bad concussion. And I do get periods where I kind of lose track of what I'm saying, and it's like the world kind of jumps a few seconds and I have to go back. So if that does happen, then please accept my apologies. I will get back on track the best I can. I think I'm okay. we should be all right. But if I start talking about koala bears or something like that, then just, like I say, apology on that one. Okay, so you got your pen and paper. We're going to get stuck into this fat loss slap, what it's all about. What I'm going to talk about over the next 45 minutes is, first of all, a bit about goal setting. We're going to look at why traditional goal setting is just broken. I think you all know it doesn't work. I'm sure you've tried it for fitness, you tried it for maybe business and making more money and all that sort of stuff, and it's just really not working. If you look back 2-3 years, what's really changed? Have you got any close to those goals? Is it just a case of you've actually, even though you've thought about a lot of goals, you've actually lived in a way that's very reactive to what other people are doing, their demands on your time, on your life? And obviously that can get very frustrating. And again, the older you get, the harder it gets, because you get more and more conditioned and it gets more frustrating, and it's this kind of vicious circle. We're then going to talk about the three most important people in your life for breaking certain negative cycles, this negative way of thinking that a lot of us have got into, and it really is a tough thing to break. If you're just trying to sort of set goals, pick random numbers, whatever it is you're chasing, then you're going to find you never really get anywhere. And we've got to look at how we can actually break that cycle. It's not actually that difficult when you know what you're doing. It just takes a little bit of commitment to do it over and over again. Because some of you, I know some of you guys are early 20s, some of you guys 30s, 40s, 50s. You know, the older you get, the harder it gets. But there's no reason why you can't change this, whatever your goals and however old you are. Next up, we're going to look at more in terms of the nutrition. I'm not going to go massively into nutrition today because we'll do other webinars on that, and it's obviously a very big topic. I wanted to talk about running. I've just had so many questions recently about I'm panicking because I can't lose fat over the winter because I can't go running. And that's obviously something a lot of people think, whether it's running or even cross trainers, rowing, whatever you think of as cardio as such, you don't have to be doing that stuff to lose weight. And a lot of the time, you're actively doing yourself a disservice when it comes to your body shape. So we'll cover running and cardio. And then we're going to talk about my transformation tornado model. So if you can imagine a tornado, obviously starts at the bottom quite small. What I want for you guys is that you don't just keep sort of creating a little breeze, a little breeze in the air that doesn't really change your life. What we want is that tornado that kind of spirals upwards. Okay, so the results get bigger and bigger and bigger, but that can only happen if you get certain elements of your life in line. Okay, you can't just go, I want more, and expect it to happen, whether that's money or fitness or anything else. Okay, so getting on to the goal setting. Like I said, I hope you got a pad and a pen, so just write stuff down as you go. You can go over it. If you want to email me questions and stuff once you've had a look at it, then that is fine. The problem with goal setting at the moment is if you take your pad and pen, get your paper there, what I want you to do is, it doesn't matter which way up you do this, just draw a little stick man at the bottom, or stick woman. I'm not allowed to make sexist comments anymore. So guys, if you want to draw a little willy on, that's fine. Do whatever you like on your little stick man, so long as it looks like you. And then I want you to kind of draw two arrows. So one's going to go up to the left-hand side of the paper, and one is going to go up to the right-hand side of the paper. And at the end of the arrow going to the left, I want you to write, this is me, this is what I'm all about. Okay, so this is me, this is what I'm all about. And then on the right-hand side, you're going to write, this is what I'm trying to be based on everybody else. Okay, so on the right-hand side, that arrow is going to point to, this is what I'm trying to be based on everybody else. So what's happening is, this is what I call no man's land. What's going on is, you know deep down, through intuition, whatever you want to call it, you know what you really want to be doing in life. You know how fit you want to be. You know what sort of challenges you want to do. You know what job you want to be doing. This isn't all about fat loss and fitness. Obviously, that's kind of what people know me for. But if you can nail this stuff for fitness, you can do it, for the rest of your life. So on that left-hand side, it is what you know. You know deep down what you want to be doing with your life, but it's too easy to push it down. We go, oh, but what about, I haven't got enough money, I haven't got enough kids, I haven't got I've got the kids, I haven't got enough knowledge, I haven't got the education, and we talk ourselves out of it. But you know the stuff you want to be doing, okay? And I'll leave that up to you to write down exactly what it is later on. On the other side, this is where we tend to live, or we tend to look at. Okay, we're looking at other people. We start kind of keeping up with the Joneses. We make a lot of decisions, pretty much every decision in our life based on other people. So we're going to talk a little bit about Facebook in particular later on. Very powerful, obviously. But we kind of see life through other people's eyes, what other people are saying. If a friend of ours gets promoted, we start thinking, oh, I need to get promoted. I'm not doing well enough in my job because I haven't been promoted. And everything you're chasing is based on what other people are thinking and what other people want. But what happens is, even if you start moving closer to that, so maybe you get a promotion, you start making more money, you get a 4-bedroom house instead of a 3-bedroom house, you keep looking back and there's this thing tugging at your heartstrings, and you know it's still not quite what you want. And this is where, people say money doesn't make you happy. It can do if it's in line with what you truly want to be doing with your life. Okay, so what you find, and this feeling you get of getting out of bed and just being like, oh God, I don't want to get up, it's because you're chasing things that you don't really want. So you're getting pulled in one direction, you're going towards making more money, the house, the car, maybe killing yourself in the gym because you want a bikini body, when actually what's more important to you is just being with your kids, spending more time with your kids. And actually, if you never earned a penny more than you are at the moment, and your body never got any better than it is at the moment, you would actually be a very happy person if you got to spend 2 hours a day with your kids, and you had a body that was energetic enough and in shape enough to actually hang out with your kids and play with them in the park. And this is something I do with personal training clients, is we look at what your core values are. So imagine you're a business, and businesses talk about core values. Well, what are your core values? Is it travel? Is it kids? Is it that you want the adoration of 1,000 people when you're on stage as a fitness model? Some of you it might be, most of you probably not. But once you establish your core values, then you can start attaching those values to your goals. So, for instance, if you're thinking, oh God, I know I need to get fit, but I just can't do it. I can't be bothered to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to do my cardio. If you know that your core values are related more to your kids and making your kids happy and spending time with them, once you uncover that, and for most people it should be fairly obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people actually get distracted by everything else. Once you know that, you can then start designing goals that reward, even if they reward your children. Some people, it's kind of funny that some people find it very hard to reward themselves. So let's choose a goal that you're comfortable with, and that might be, say for instance, well, when I lose 3 stone, I'm going to take the kids to Euro Disney. And you tell your kids that. Tell your kids, look, mummy's trying to lose 3 stone. We think, I think I can do it in 4 or 5 months. When I do that, I'm going to book a holiday and we're all going to go to Euro Disney. That is the sort of thing, when you do that, and I've seen this with people who have struggled for years and years and years, flogging themselves, trying to lose body fat, and they hate it. And yet, as soon as they set a goal like that, and they can visualize themselves at Euro Disney, they can visualize the look on their kids' faces and how happy their children are and the experience they're having and what they're doing as a family. It literally overnight, they're up at the crack of dawn, they're doing their cardio, they're full of beans, they're energized about life. And that is why goal setting's not working, okay? Because you're picking numbers based on what somebody else is doing, but it's not in line with your core values. It's kind of this incongruence where half of your brain's going one way, but the other half's tugging you back. And what you tend to do when you think of, we talk about yo-yo dieting, that is literally what it is. You're yo-yoing between, oh, I want to have a great body to keep up with Jill in the office because she looks great and she can run 10Ks and all of this. But the other half of your brain just doesn't give a shit. Okay, the other half of your brain actually just wants to have more self-confidence, to build self-esteem, and as a result from that, you can get a better job. You can actually maybe just be better at your job and go and do presentations and have the confidence to do it. So have a think about that. Most of us, in fact, I'd probably say all of us, spend quite a lot of time in no man's land where we deny ourselves of what we really want to do because we're chasing all the stuff that we think other people have got. And actually, if you actually take the time to look around, you'll see that the people with the things you think you want are pretty miserable anyway most of the time. So have a think about those core values and your personal values. That's really, really important. And I'd say don't even bother trying to set goals until you've done that, because trust me, you're wasting your time. I've dealt with enough people on an individual level. I mean, we've had over 1,000 people on the fitness camps, and I can tell you now, the ones who get the results that last are the ones who understand what they really want out of life. Okay, they're not chasing the wrong things. Okay, moving on. I still kind of, well, rather developing that is the statements we're making really when it comes to goal setting. They're very empty statements, just kind of thrown on top of poor thinking. It's like, when you've been to the gym or you've been playing football, whatever, you're muddy and you stink. You haven't got time for a shower, so I'll just spray a bit of deodorant on. It covers it up for a little bit, and then sure enough, an hour later, you're like, oh my God, I stink. You can't just cover stuff up with empty statements. You can't just go, January the 1st, I'm going to lose a stone, and it's going to change like that. Okay, because if you've got poor thinking, if your thinking's not in the right place and your brain's not attached to the right goals for your values, then it's not going to work. Okay, you're just doing that kind of spraying deodorant when you haven't had a shower. Okay, so what we need to start looking at is the environment. All right, nobody takes enough time to look at the environment. You think, I've made the decision I'm going to go to the gym, therefore, if I can force myself to get there, I'm going to get the results that everybody keeps talking about. Well, as good as I like to think I am as a trainer and our team is, the fact of the matter is, even if you come and did our fitness camps for 3 hours a week, you've got 165 hours to screw it up, okay, the rest of the week. Another 165 hours with bad sleep, bad food, letting people at your office tell you it's okay to have another cake. You've got to start thinking about changing your environment. Let me ask you this. When you look in your goldfish bowl and your fish looks sick, what do? You change the water in the bowl. You don't just try and change the fish. All right, you understand that it's the water making the fish sick, and if you don't change the water, it's going to get worse, it's going to die. Okay, so look at your life as a fish bowl. What what around you is actually dragging you down. And like a fish, the fish doesn't know it's swimming in shit water. Okay, the fish can't even see the water. And this is the problem we have. We don't spend enough time to actually open our eyes. We at least have the ability to understand and analyze our environment, what's around us, if we take the time to do it. But most of us are just going blinkered through life. You're just letting people suck the life out of you. You're letting them drag you down. You're hanging around, you're in the wrong places. You're in the wrong environment. You're saying, well, I want to be a fitness model. And then you go into a gym where the trainers don't give a shit. Most of the members there just want to sit on an exercise bike and read a magazine. If you want things to change, you've got to start with the environment. Okay, and like I said, that is pretty much anything that's going into your senses. So it's like I said, we're going to talk about Facebook and stuff, but what are you reading? Who are the friends you got on Facebook? What stuff are they saying every day? Again, you all know this as well as I do, that 80-90% of the stuff on Facebook is utter shite. People just want to go on there and complain about the weather and the traffic and the politicians and airlines and the prices, and people just want to bitch. Okay, so all you're doing is filling yourself with more negative thoughts about life, and it does suck the energy out of you. And if you do that from the moment you get up and look in the mirror and tell yourself you're fat and ugly and hate yourself, then you watch the news, then you fill yourself with crap food and nutrition, then you're at work listening to everybody bitching about life and saying how bad everything is. Then you get home, what do? We stick the TV on, more bullshit. Okay, by the time you get to 7 o'clock in the evening, you want to slit your wrist. You don't want to go in the gym and pound out a session for an hour and a half. Okay, so if we get back to fitness, you've got to understand that if you're not changing the environment, then it's going to be very, very, very hard to change anything else. And yes, you can force yourself to go to the gym, force yourself to do some cardio for a couple of weeks, but it's only going to last so long. Okay, there's very few people strong enough to just keep pounding away like that and actually get any noticeable results. Okay, so I spoke there a little bit about negative thoughts and allowing people to say negative things all the time. You get a very distorted view of the world, that everything's bad and we're all going to die and Armageddon's going to happen on New Year's Eve and that kind of stuff. And what we do is we then start setting really negative goals. Everything is very much like you highlight what's bad about you. So I know I'm sick, fat, and tired, and you keep. I've got to stop getting ill all the time. I've got to stop being fat. I've got to stop eating bad food. But I think there's this has been brought up in many a psychology lecture. The brain doesn't understand negatives. Okay, so whenever you say, imagine when you're playing with your friends or something and you're seeing who can balance on the log the longest, and everybody's going, don't fall off, don't fall off. It just makes you fall off. The brain kind of doesn't understand the negative. All it hears is fall off. And that's what happens. Same thing if I say to you, don't think about white elephants. Automatically, all of you are thinking about white elephants. And you're probably going to go to sleep and you probably think about white elephants. But I told you, don't think about white elephants. Again, the brain doesn't understand the don't. So if you're constantly saying, oh, I'm scared of getting fatter, I'm scared of getting older, I'm scared of being old and not being able to play with my kids, you're feeding these kind of images into your brain that actually, that's what I want. That is what life is. All right, so you end up in this negative cycle where you're just magnifying your fears. And some of you may have read the article I wrote today. If not, go and have a look on johnlatop.com. It's the latest article. Don't do it now. Keep listening. It's about how the difference between athletes and kind of normal people, Joe Public. And what we say is basically athletes know when you're talking about going from A to B, athletes know their B. Okay, you go up to an athlete and they'll say, yeah, I'm trying to win the world championships, or I'm trying to take 5 minutes off my triathlon time. But athletes don't tend to spend enough time looking at their A, sort of where they are at the moment, assessing their movement, their weaknesses and everything else. They just want to smash on all the time and get closer to that B. What Joe Public does wrong is you know where you are right now. You know all too well your A position. You know you're sick. You know you're fat. You know you're tired. Obviously, I'm generalizing here. You might not be. You know you're weak. You know you've got a bad back, whatever it might be. But what we do wrong then is we focus on the A too much. Okay, we're always thinking about the A. We're analyzing it. We're trying to establish what's wrong with us. Why am I not like Sarah, who's got a great ass and all the blokes flock around her? we're always focusing on the A. And all that does is it draws more of it into your life. And that's just how the brain works. The subconscious works. It does what you tell it to do. Okay, so if it does whatever you focus on, whatever you talk about, you're going to see more of that. Okay, so if you're always thinking about, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat, your subconscious mind is going to go, yeah, you're fat. This is what you need to do to be more fat. And that's why you find yourself with your face in the fridge. I mean, I do it at times where you get in from, you walk in from work, and next thing you're like, why is my face in the fridge? I don't even remember getting here. And now I'm staring at the peanut butter, I've got a spoon in my mouth, I've got chocolate dribbling down my chin. Why does that happen? It's because your subconscious mind is just doing what you ask it. Okay, so what do we do? Well, what we've got to do is understand your position, understand the A point. We need to establish, okay, we've got a bad back. Why does your back hurt? We need to understand why we're reaching for the chocolate, why we're sticking our face in the fridge. And this is what we do in our personal training consultations. We establish your A point. I want to know everything about you, your stress levels, your movement issues, absolutely everything about you. But from that point, that's just so I know what's needed, okay? I know how to try and manage stress levels in your life. I know what kind of food you're going to need, what's going wrong there, what exercise is going to be appropriate for you. But from there, we've got to very much focus on the B, okay? We've got to start magnetizing the right things. And this is where we start talking about visualization. I could show you pictures up in my bedroom I've got about 25 pictures up on my bedroom wall that I look at every morning and every evening, to the point that my subconscious mind is like, this is life, this is real life. And some of them are ridiculous. I don't know how I'm ever going to get there, but I believe that if I feed it into my subconscious enough, then I'm going to get there. And again, this is why goal setting is not working at the moment, because we go, I'm going to lose a stone. Well, if I gave one of you the mic right now and said to you, describe what losing a stone looks like. Anybody got any ideas? No. What is it? You may have an idea if you've done it before. You can kind of think back to where you were. But again, what you're actually doing is you have a visual already. Okay, so if you've got a new goal, fresh goal, we've got to start putting images in there. We've got to start feeding positive images into your brain of that B position. It might be of a woman crossing the line in the race for life. That might be your big goal, something you've always wanted to do. So let's move on from just focusing on the A all the time. What is the B position? How can we feed it into our brain enough? So we can, obviously we can get photos. We can start only reading websites about that goal. I want to read about the 10 women who went from, maybe having cancer and they had no energy, but they sort of fought through adversity and got to the end of that 5K. Read that instead of the knobhead on Facebook who's telling you about how the dog just puked up a biscuit. Like, who cares? It's not going to help you get any closer to what you really want to do. All right, so have a think about, do you really know what your B position is? You might keep saying, I want to lose weight and tone up. Well, what does that mean? I can make you run around the car park for an hour and you probably lose a pound in sweat. Have you hit your goal? Are we at point B? No. Think about your goal. Can you actually visualize it right now? Tone up. The reason I hate the word tone up, I know what you mean, but what is toning up? How do we put a visual to that? It's pretty difficult. We've got to be more specific. What you mean is, if you want to lose weight and tone up, is I want to maintain or build some lean muscle and lose body fat. That's how you're going to get the body that you're actually asking me for. So again, now I can go, okay, fine. What we're going to do now is we're going to test your body fat. We're going to find out exactly where you are. Then we can work out how much you need to lose to get down to, say, 12, 15%. When you get down to there, you are going to look very toned, if that's what you want to call it. Okay, but then you have a visual. You have a number to chase. We can maybe pick an athlete, someone like Jessica Ennis. She's obviously got a great body. Maybe you want to look like that. You can start visualizing it and allow your subconscious to see the things in life that are going to move you closer to that. Okay, so that's just some minor things you can do with your goal setting, but very important. They're not particularly difficult. You could get off this call right now, go on the internet, search for some stuff that's relevant to your goal, print it out and stick it up on your wall. Straight away, you've taken a step that most people never do, and you're one step ahead of the game. Okay, so just finishing off that point, about A to B, what normally happens is when someone finally decides, right, I don't like point A, I need to do something about it. What then happens is we create a point Z, Or if you're American, we've got some Americans on the line at point Z. All right, it's okay. Well, I'm 7 stone overweight. I'm going to be a fitness model with 10% body fat. And then when it doesn't happen after 4 weeks, we get pissed off. We start knocking ourselves. It's our fault. I'm useless. That stuff doesn't happen overnight. And like I said in that article, this is the problem at the moment, is that not at the moment, it's been going on for a while, and it's going to go on for a very long time. We spend a lot of our time looking at photos of models that just aren't realistic, to the point that even that model doesn't even look like that, and she never could. They've just photoshopped it. You were looking on YouTube, watching athletes doing 15 triple backflips whilst riding a 19 stone elephant, and wondering, right, that's my goal, I'm going to do that. And the truth is, you are never going to get there, because these guys train 6-7 hours a day. Fine, if you want to completely sell your soul and start fresh in life, and you're 18 with no kids and no stress and nothing to worry about, then maybe you can get there. But even then, a lot of these top guys that you're sort of worshipping on YouTube, they've been doing it since they were 4. You got gymnasts and kids who have been made to lift weights when they're 4. All right, it's going to be very, 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 very difficult, to the point of being impossible for you to do it. So what we've got to stop doing is I'm not saying don't have big goals. What I'm saying is hold the Z position, the Z position, as a vision. Have that vision, but detach yourself from that outcome happening next week, next month, next year. Have that vision, break it down. Right, how do I get to part B? And that might be, I've got to go for a run 3 times a week for 45 minutes. That's it. I'm not going to tell you anything about pacings, how far you're going to go, how many hills. I want you to do that. That is your point B. And once that becomes a habit, then we can start saying, okay, we're going to extend the run a bit longer. We're going to do some hills, some intervals, whatever. Or even your weight training. Are you actually getting to the gym 3 times a week? Can you even do that? Because your schedule's up the spout. You're worried you can't get to the gym because you haven't got time, mainly because Coronation Street's on. Make the small changes first. Make them habits. Then we go, all right, I'm at point B. I now have a gym habit of 3 times a week. How do I get to point C? Well, you're going to have to start thinking about your program. Are you actually doing the right exercises? Are you doing them safely? Is the intensity enough? How do I get to point C? Well, maybe get a program. You might get a program off the internet. You might find something that works. But then that's going to stop working. You go, well, I'm still not a fitness model. All right, getting from C to D, you've got to start thinking about getting a personal trainer or a coach, whatever. And then we start getting closer and closer to point Z, but it's not going to happen in a couple of weeks. All right, and this is why a lot of people get disillusioned in January, because they kind of try and faff about for a couple of weeks, and because they've only lost 2 pounds, it means it doesn't work. Well, if you lost £1 a week every week for a year, and you're 52 pounds down by the end of the year, I'm pretty sure you'd be quite happy. And we all know a year disappears pretty quick, too quick for most of us. Okay, so have a think about that. Are you holding that vision, and then are you breaking it down to B, C, D, E, and you're going to get a lot more success that way. Okay, so it's kind of like, don't try and run before you can walk. Okay, I'm just going to take a breath for a minute, have a quick sip. If you've got any questions, please post them now. I might not answer them straight away, but we can just start having a look at anything you want to cover. I can let my frazzled brain stop thinking about koalas. I really want to talk about koalas. If you've got a pet koala, post it in the question thing, so I want to come and meet it. Okay, so we've talked a bit about people, the importance of people in your life. I'm going to tell you the 3 most important people in your life. You can write these down if you want. Number 1, a little bit obvious, is you. We've already covered this. Do you actually know yourself? And I've asked this to hundreds of people, and I can name, well, I'm not going to, I could name 5 people who burst into tears literally as I said it. Okay, do you actually know yourself? Or are you just literally being dragged along by life? And that can be pretty upsetting, because you're like, shit, I'm 40 and I still haven't done anything I want to do in my life. Nobody is going to stop the clock. All right, you've got to make decisions at some point and say, look, this is what I want to do in my life. All right, it might mean I don't earn as much as everybody else, and I don't become CEO of the bank or whatever it is you're thinking of doing, but maybe you actually enjoy your life a bit more. All right, so number 1, just get into some meditation, spend some time actually analysing what it is you want out of life. And, I'm sure some of you are going, I haven't got time for that. I can't sit down for 10 minutes and hug a tree. That's not what I'm asking you to do. What I'm saying is, if you can actually discover yourself a bit more and what's important to you, then life actually, you'll suddenly find you have a lot more time in your life, because the half an hour you spend on Facebook, you don't need to do, because you don't give a shit what everybody else is doing. You don't have to spend time watching programs. You don't have to spend time listening to the person bitching at work. You can literally shut yourself off from a lot of stuff in life, and all of a sudden you're going to see actually you have more time than you need. You know, I have 24 hours, you have 24 hours, Joe Bloggs has 24 hours. The difference between the successful ones and the unsuccessful ones are that they actually know what they want to do with their time. Every period of their day has an intent. But what I do now is when I'm working, I set my clock for 45, 50 minutes, and it's like a workout. I'm like, right, boom, go. Like, how much stuff can I get done in 45 minutes? Don't bother phoning me. Don't send me a text message, because you're not going to get an answer in that time. When the buzzer goes, it's 10 minutes. I'm not working. I'm not thinking about work. I'll go and stretch. If I had a pet koala, I'd play with it. I'll go and answer any texts, make phone calls, and then boom, the timer's on again. I shut off. Now, that may be easier for me because I've got my own business. I can pretty much do what I want. But when, even if you're at work, you can just say to people, right, look, I'm not going to answer any emails for the next 45 minutes. I need to work on this project. If your mobile phone goes, leave it. The chance of it being an emergency is absolutely minimal. And chances are, if it is an emergency, they'll keep phoning you. I've got a rule: if my phone rings from the same person 3 times in the space of a couple of minutes, I'll answer it, because the chances are it's something pretty important. Okay, so it might be an emergency you need to deal with, but you don't need to answer text messages. Emails can wait 45 minutes, and trust me, you will be amazed how much more stuff you get done with your day. So all of a sudden, those 10 minutes you didn't think you had to give to yourself and maybe do a bit of self-discovery, you'll suddenly find. Okay? So that's you. That's number one. Number two, one of the most influential people in your life, or one of the most important people in your life, is the person who was most influential when you were under 6. Okay, have a think about that. And the reason is that our brains, they've actually started to discover now. We always talk about, look, you can change your conditioning. You can do whatever you want to do in your life. What they're finding is it's actually virtually impossible to change conditioning from when you were under 6. Because you're so vulnerable, your mind is so susceptible that pretty much anything programmed when you were under 6 is in there for good. Okay, it's not to say it's totally in control of you, but it is very, very difficult to get around that. And I can't go into how we'd actually deal with that, because it's pretty tough, but it takes a while. But just have a think about that. And I'll in a second I'll give you a few things you can do to try and break that down. But if you had someone who was massively influential when you were under 6, have a think about what it is that they, it's hard to remember. I can't really remember what I was doing yesterday, but there's reasons for that. But it's hard to remember what you were doing when you were 6. But just have a think of who that person was, what kind of person they were, what their values were, what they stood for. Because the chances are you'll see that when you've got a decision to make, you'll base your decisions on how that person would have made a decision. So it might be your mum, your dad, maybe you spent a lot of time with your gran and she was like really strict and money's bad. So as a result, whenever you get a chance of a promotion, in your subconscious brain is going, no, money's bad, you don't want more money, and you talk yourself out of it. That's really interesting psychological stuff. But just have a think about that. So what could be going on in your brain because of what happened when you were under 6? And finally, the number 3, more same concept really, but we're just looking more at present day. Who do you give most authority to? Right now, who do you give most authority to? Is it your boss? Do you have a best friend? We all have groups of friends where like one friend is the boss. Basically, whatever they say goes. Their opinion counts for everything. If they want to do that, that's what we're doing tonight. Maybe it's a pop star. Hopefully, the guys listening to this, you've kind of grown out of that, but we can sort of idolize people. It's like, if that person walked into our house and said, eat a lump of dog turd, we'd do it because we give them so much authority. Maybe it is a coach, a teacher. Have a think about that. Who is the person you give most authority to? And I'm actually including Facebook as a person here. We've all we give Facebook so much authority. Obviously, it's made up of loads and loads of people, but we kind of almost personify Facebook. So what we see on Facebook is what's going on in the world. So somebody's bitching and moaning about the traffic. We're like, oh God, yeah, traffic is bad, yeah. Or, oh, I haven't got any money. Oh, I can't afford my rent. Oh, the states of Guernsey are knobs because they've raised this tax. And you're like, oh, yeah, I can't afford this either. You start agreeing. It's so easy to agree with Facebook and get dragged along with all the attitudes and everything, like the ideas people are putting out on there. So, again, you've got to stop and think about this. Be strict on yourself. Who is it that you're giving authority to? And then ask yourself, going back to what we said about being under six, or even when at any point during your life, who's still got a hold on you? You need to understand who has still got a hold on your brain and your thinking. Okay, for instance, I used to be one of these. It was like, I was brought up as a Catholic. I went to church. It was like, the priest knows everything. Doctors definitely know everything. Teachers know everything. Like my surgeon, I cracked my spine. It was like, well, my surgeon knows everything. Well, let me tell you, two of my teachers, one turned out to be a paedophile, one got chucked out of school for stealing money. Surgeon told me I was never going to run again. When I fractured my spine, he told me I was never going to run again. Well, that turned out to be bullshit. And don't get me started on doctors. There's some amazing doctors out there, but a lot of them are still, when it comes to nutrition and health, we all know you barely get any nutrition advice. Every solution is it's a pill, it's medication, and it's still, the problem is, like, when you get really sick, even though you know that really you can probably get yourself out of it eating well and resting, if that doctor says take these pills, you still do it. And I found myself close to that. Like when I've had injuries, I take these anti-inflammatories. Oh yeah, the doctor probably knows best. And it takes a strong mind and actually an understanding of who you are and what you personally believe in now to not keep listening to these people and not let them have a hold on you. So again, when you finish this call, have a think about that as well. Right, I'm going to start motoring through a few things. We just realised it's already nearly 10 past. So a task I want to give you is to go on a media diet. Now, this is going to scare the living crap out of some of you, but you're going to see how much of your life you're wasting and how much of it is controlled by other people. So I issue you a challenge. Maybe start on Monday. Go from Monday to Friday. If you can do Monday to Sunday, even better. If you can go 7 days without watching TV, reading a newspaper, or going on Facebook. I did this the other day. Some of you will have seen, I put a thing up saying I was on a Facebook holiday. No TV, no newspaper, no Facebook. You'll realise, first of all, actually how empty your life is, just because you suddenly go, what the hell am I supposed to do with all this time? And second of all, you realise how full it is, just full of cack, okay? It's full of just stuff you don't need in your life. The world won't collapse, the stock market won't fall apart just because you didn't read the Telegraph. Cut out TV, newspapers, and Facebook, and along with Facebook, any blogs that you read. Okay, unless it's essential for work. I know some of you need to, if you need to track this stuff for work, then you've got to do it. But cut out any media that you don't have to follow as a matter of course for your job. All right, you will see just how much Facebook just constantly opens up new loops in your life. That's one of the most stressful things, when new loops keep opening. And we all say it, we're like, oh, I'm so busy, and now I've got this problem, now I've got this problem, now I've got this problem. Well, don't give yourself more shit to deal with by going on Facebook and absorbing everyone else's problems. Okay, just stay away from it. Read a book. Be in control of what's going into your head. Spend that time doing your goals and your vision and your meditation and stuff like that. Okay, where are we up to? My brain's buzzing. Okay, we're going to move on to a bit of the nutrition. So I'm not going to go into all the stuff that I talk about, like on the turbo transformation and all that sort of stuff. I wanted to talk about how many times to eat, because there's a lot of people stressing themselves out about, I have to eat the right amount of times. I've heard that you have to eat 6 times a day or I'm not going to lose body fat. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to give you a very small bit of science to show you why eating 6 meals a day is utter shit if you want to lose weight. Every time you eat, you get an increase in insulin. Hopefully you know what insulin is. Basically, when your blood sugar goes up, insulin goes up, and it pushes the sugar out the blood. Not just sugar, amino acids as well. It pushes it into the muscles. Okay, and obviously when you're eating loads and loads of sugar, that's what can happen is you become insulin resistant. It's almost like your cells go, can't handle this anymore, stop chucking insulin at me, and they become insulin resistant, and that's what we know as diabetes. What you might not know is when insulin goes up, there's another, it's glucagon goes down. Okay, it's another substance, glucagon, goes down. Now, what that does, it actually delves into your liver, first and foremost, for energy in your liver, and it then delves into your fat cells for energy. Okay, so if that glucagon is going down, you're not going to be accessing the energy in your liver, and then you're definitely not going to be accessing the energy in your fat cells. Okay, so winding this back a bit, if I'm constantly eating 6-7 times a day and always snacking, insulin's going to keep going up, the glucagon's going to keep going down, and I'm not going to be, my body's not going to be delving into my fat cells. Okay, so anybody who tells you that you've got to be eating 6 times a day to keep your metabolism up, yeah, it will raise your metabolism because every time you eat, your metabolic rate goes up. However, all it's going to do is it's going to burn up the extra food. It's not going to be burning your body fat. So yes, listen, if you're a bodybuilder and your aim is to stack on a load of muscle, or maybe you're an athlete training 6 hours a day, things are a little bit different. Okay, you can still get low body fat eating 6 times a day because you're just burning shitloads of calories. If you're sat on your ass at your desk for 8 hours a day, you are not. Okay, you don't need a snack. Do not tell me you've eaten 600 calories at lunch and you have burnt all those up by sitting on your bum moving a mouse. Okay, you are not hungry. If you are hungry, it's because you're hungry for vitamins and minerals. Right? You're not hungry for more calories. So winding this back. You can either go for 3 meals a day. That's groundbreaking science that I'm revealing to you there, eating 3 meals a day. I think a while ago someone called it breakfast, lunch and dinner. The key is you've got to be getting the right stuff in. Okay, you're going to get hungry if you're not taking in the right vitamins and minerals, and this is why, or you're eating too much dead food. Okay, so this is why your 3 meals a day need to have, greens for breakfast. You need to be taking in as much raw food as you can. So obviously your vegetables, your salads, fruit here and there. Obviously, don't go crazy on the fruit because then you're going to get, at the end of the day, it is high in sugar. So if you're trying to lose body fat, you've got to be sticking to 3 meals a day. You can go for 1 meal a day. This is what we call kind of the warrior style diet, and this can work well if you're really busy and you have trouble sorting out the kids in the morning and stuff like that. And basically, that's just preparing some light proteins, so maybe some kind of vegetable-based protein. I use Sun Warrior rice protein. You can make a shake out of that, have that in the middle of the day, easily digested and easy if you're on the run. Raw veggies, so your carrots, your celery, stuff like that you can nibble on. Okay, so you're just giving your body something to deal with, getting the nutrients in, and that is what your body gets hungry for most. Think about this: when you eat Chinese, you can eat. We've all done it. You eat a massive Chinese meal and you're hungry an hour later. How the hell does that work? If it's all about calories, how can that possibly work? It's because it's such dead food and you're not eating vitamins and minerals that your body goes, dude, I'm still hungry. Okay, so if you're constantly going, oh, but I get hungry in the middle of the afternoon, it's because you didn't eat enough of the micronutrients, so your vegetables and your vitamins, your minerals, you didn't get enough of that at lunch. All right, so slightly in between all of that, you can go for what I do. I've been doing it for a while now, breakfast and lunch, going for smoothies. So we're going to blend. I'll have something like, say, coconut water with spinach and kale, maybe a bit of the greens powder. If you've got a nice tasting fish oil, you can chuck that in so you're getting your healthy fats. Bit of raw cocoa powder, chuck some of that in so you get a chocolate flavor, and just blend the crap out of it. Okay, I think I wrote on the intro to this, you can get lean in 9 minutes 47 a day. This wasn't one of these 4-minute abs things. It's just because I did a little test, and without rushing it, it was like, how long does it take me to make 2 fully comprehensive smoothies? Okay, with all the nutrients I needed in, it took me 9 minutes 47, including getting out the fridge, washing stuff, putting it in the blender, making 2 separate shakes, and cleaning up afterwards. Okay, 9 minutes 47. I had breakfast and lunch sorted. Stick it in the fridge at work and you're done. Okay, and then evening meal, when you're a bit more chilled out, you want to sit down with the family, then that's when you can have your meat and veg and all that sort of stuff. Okay, so if you're looking to lose fat, we've got to try and aim for this one or 3 meals a day. What I will say is, if you've got a horrific diet based on a lot of sugar, then your body will be crying out. Mainly because of yeast and stuff like that in your body that craves sugar, sort of fungi in your digestive system. It will crave sugar, okay, and you will be battling not to eat sugar. So in that case, at first, sometimes going for a snack just to stop you. I'd rather you have, say, 15 almonds than have a Mars bar. Right? If it stops you for the initial period, then fine. So, go for those snacks. But your aim is to transition to those 3 quality meals a day. All right, we're at 15:15. I'm going to go on for probably another 10 minutes, if that's all right. If you're bored of me, then go away. If you're not, keep listening. It will be 10 minutes. All right, I'm going to talk about this transformation tornado now. This was like the final piece for tonight. This is sort of drawing everything together, and I want you to understand this model, and you'll start seeing immediately where you're going wrong. So you've got to work with me on this one. I want you to get another piece of paper and just draw a big, not over the whole piece of paper, just draw a cross. Okay, so 2 lines intersecting at 90 degrees. If you don't know what a cross is, it should be about the same length, sort of horizontally and vertically. What I want you to do then is, it doesn't matter what you write where, but you can actually do it with me, make it easier. You write exercise at the top, so the very top of the cross. Then you're going to write nutrition on the right-hand side of the cross. Then you're going to write rest at the bottom. And you're going to write me time / mind on the left-hand side. So, I want you to imagine we're in the middle of the cross. That's where you are right now. Sat there at your computer or listening on the phone, that's where you are right now. You're kind of not really doing best quality exercise you could be. Your nutrition is pretty crap. You're not getting much sleep, and you don't do any kind of mindset or meditation. So you come and say to me, John, I want to do a triathlon. Right, okay, cool. So I want you to draw, actually we'll go with a 5K race. I want to do a 5K. So I want you to put a little mark above that middle point, so going up the exercise axis. All right, put a little mark there. Okay, so what we need to realize is you can't just yo-yo up to the top. You can't yo-yo up to doing more exercise. It just doesn't work like that, okay? It's like a bungee jump, okay? You're going to end up bouncing up and down, bouncing up and down. It's like the yo-yo diets. You try a bit of exercise, but you haven't got the energy, so you cut it back a bit. Then you get pissed off. I'm still fat. Right, I'm going again. I'm going to try boxing this time. Oh, that didn't work. I was too tired and stressed. And you go back and you rest. Right, I'm going to try boot camp this time. What you need to do is start creating a spiral. Okay, so where you marked exercise, I want you to put a mark on nutrition about the same distance from the middle. Then I want you to put a mark on the rest axis about the same distance from the middle. And then I want you to put one on the me time and the mind axis. And now I want you to draw a circle, so you're basically attaching the 4 marks together. Although stop just before you get sort of to completing a full circle. Hopefully this is making sense. A bit of a Krypton factor game. All right, so what we've had to do to enable us to move to that position and say, yeah, I can do more exercise, we've had to improve nutrition a bit, we've had to get more sleep, and we've had to work on our mind a bit. You guys have already taken the step by being on this call, but are you going to go away and just spend even 5 minutes a day thinking about your goals? Now, just as we get to that 5K, I don't want you to complete the loop, because then it's kind of like, oh, I've got nothing to work towards. The brain doesn't like that. And that's when we slip back. All of a sudden we go back to past conditioning. So you say to me, or kind of as a team, we say, you know what, I think you could do 10K runs. So what I want you to do is on your graph there, I want you to make a mark twice as high. So you've got your 5K mark, now you've got your 10K mark. So now we draw the circle and we go up and we're touching that higher mark. But what's got to happen is that the nutrition has now got to get better. And the rest has got to get better. So what you should be starting to create now is this kind of spiral on your paper. All right, so this goes back to our goal setting, where if you want more from one area of your life, you've got to look at the other areas of your life. And if you want to look at this in terms of your business, scrap exercise and put work. You're not going to get more out of your work. You're not going to be more productive unless you, again, improve your nutrition, improve your brain function through your nutrition, get more sleep, spend more time on your own. The more you're working, the more time you've got to have on your own. Okay, so this is kind of the 2D model, where the spiral gets bigger and bigger and bigger. In terms of the transformation tornado, imagine what a tornado looks like. So you get those little circles at the bottom. As you get higher, the tornado winds bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Guys, that is what I want for you in your life. Okay, I want that to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And that doesn't mean always chasing more. Remember we said it's not about, well, now I get a 5-bedroom house and a 6-bedroom house. Think of it in terms of quality. So am I getting more quality time with my kids? Okay, well, not really. How do I do that? Well, maybe instead of working 12 hours a day, you need to work 8 hours a day, but you need to be more productive in that time. Okay, so think of it, the quality of the work has got to be better. And the same with your exercise. I'm sure you guys haven't got 2, 3, 4 hours a day to train. So how are we going to get better? We've got to improve the quality. Every minute of the workout has got to be better. We've got to get better reps. We've got to get better technique. We've got to be lifting more weight. Okay, so that is how this transformation tornado is going to increase. Okay, it's the only way to go from A to B to C to D and keep winding round. And that spiral is limitless, but it's only limitless if you work on all 4 areas. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, you've got about another minute or so to pop some questions. I've got a couple that I'm going to have a look at in a second. Okay, so that's really it for most of tonight. We've covered quite a lot of stuff, and obviously I could go into a lot more detail on all of that. But what I wanted to do is give you an idea, mainly about goal setting, because obviously Christmas is coming up and you're going to do the January 1st thing. I wanted you to understand where you've probably been going wrong in the past. And I'm not saying, you're all failures, nothing's ever worked, but you're probably looking at a lot of goals thinking, yeah, I never quite made it. Well, now you have some of the tools to start analyzing why you probably didn't make it. It might be people. It's your own mindset. It might be your nutrition. You're not eating the right things, so your digestive system's in a mess, and that affects your brain. It's because you're in no man's land and you're chasing stuff that you think you should want, but actually you couldn't give a toss. And for us guys that live in Guernsey, it can be a particular pain in the ass because everybody's, it's very kind of money focused and who's got the biggest house and stuff like that. It's the same in many areas, but obviously we know that in Guernsey. Is it because you're setting negative goals and your brain doesn't understand that negative? All it understands is I'm sick, I'm fat, I'm tired, and you're pulling yourself down. And we had a look at the people. So think about those 3 people. How are you helping yourself out? Who was the most influential person when you were under 6? And how can you sort of break free from them? I've got a really cool method of doing that. If you want to know more on that, just drop me a message, john@stormforcefitness.com. And who do you still give too much authority to? Are you giving authority to the right people? We said about doctors, teachers, surgeons. These guys are very, very important in our lives at certain times. But if we know how to sometimes take it with a pinch of salt and kind of take responsibility for ourselves. Then we said about going on a media diet. I really, really, really advise you to do that. It is phenomenal. You just trust me on that one. You won't believe me until you do it. Even after the first couple of days, you'll be like, shit, I've got like half my life back. And then we covered food. So we looked at whether you should eat 1, 3, or 6 times. The answer is it depends, but the long-term answer is try and get to 3 meals a day. And if that means doing sort of smaller meals during the day and then a bigger one at night, kind of 1 meal a day, but kind of 3, so somewhere in between. Don't overthink that too much. Find what works for you and keep doing it. Okay, so that's really it for tonight. I'm going to have a look. We've got a couple of questions here. Are you looking for a definite answer for the question, or are you looking for the people to see what is holding them back to help change their environment? Not quite sure I understand that. Are you looking for the... I don't think there's any really definite answers to any of these questions. Really, what I try and do is help people ask the right questions of themselves. But yes, you want to be looking at what is holding you back in your in the environment you're in. So look at the people, look at the what's going in your eyes and your ears, basically, and look to change that as soon as you can, because it's very hard. Everything's just a battle until you do that. I don't know if that answers your question, Mick. But the media diet, does that include YouTube? Yeah. Stephen, yes, it does. That's probably the biggest source of bullshit on the internet. Everyone's a keyboard warrior, and you start reading the comments and stuff. Oh my god, unbelievable. All right, guys, so that kind of winds things up. Quick plug from me: if you are looking for something basically get you to Christmas, draw all this together in terms of bringing the nutrition. Cardio timings. I forgot to talk about cardio timings. That is in the Turbo Transformation, which 3-week program. You can get on that now. You can start whenever you like, and you'll be in mega shape for Christmas. Higher metabolic rate. You're going to get through Christmas a lot easier and won't be piling on 5-10 pounds. Do you know the average British person puts on between 5 and 10 pounds over the Christmas period? All right, so if you take the steps now, ramp up your metabolic rate, and then you can breeze through, do like I do, and eat crap all of Christmas Day and Boxing Day, have a bit of cheesecake, and it will actually help you because it will give you the structure when you're busy with Christmas and stuff's all over the place. The Turbo Transformation will give you that structure, and you can just follow, do what you're told. It saves you time thinking about it, and you can still get amazing results over Christmas. But what I was going to say is the cardio in the program. Basically, the way it works is you get a lot more out of your cardio in terms of fat burning if you do something like this. Okay, 10 to 15 minute warm up, progressive warm up. Obviously, just getting the blood pumping, getting the muscles ready, usual thing. Then you're going to go for 6 rounds of 30 seconds flat out. You can do this running, you can do it cycling, anything like that. Then preferably running, it's a lot better. 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds easy. So probably just walking and recovering. Do that 6 times. Okay, so that bit's only going to last 6 minutes. What that does is it really helps mobilize fatty acids into the bloodstream. But what it doesn't do is completely kill you for the next day. Okay, 30 seconds is about the limit. You start going for 45, 60-second sprints, and your legs will be knackered the next day. All right, so 10 to 15-minute progressive warm-up, 6 rounds of 30 seconds hard, 30 seconds easy. By this time, you've mobilized more fatty acids into the bloodstream, and then you can finish off with 20 to 30 minutes steady state. Okay, so don't just go straight into the steady state stuff like most people do. Get the fatty acids mobilized into your bloodstream, and then you can do your steady state stuff and just burn all those fatty acids that are in your bloodstream. Okay, that's the sort of stuff fitness models do. It works a dream, and you can actually do it multiple times a week because it doesn't kill you. You've only got those short blasts, so you'll still be able to do any weight training you're doing. That will literally melt body fat off you pretty quick. Okay, so that's just that little bit on cardio. Stick that in 2-3 times a week, and you'll really be burning fat. And if you want that kind of structured 3-week, get on the Turbo Transformation. The results are insane, and I'm not even going to apologize for telling you that. You know, it's taken a long time to create that. There's a lot of science in it, but you don't even have to worry about it. You just follow the plan, do the weight training, follow the nutrition, and you will be lean as hell going into your Christmas party. You can send me a photo of your sexy ass in your party dress. Unless you're a guy, I really don't want to see that. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I hope that all made sense. Fortunately, my brain seemed to stay on track. We had a little bit of koala action. Eddie's just said, I'm off running now. Good man. Bet you're not, though. I bet your missus won't let you, Eddie. Guys, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to maybe not talk to you, but listen to your questions, give you some more information. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions, you can find me on Facebook or email me, john@stormforcefitness.com. I'm hoping to do one more webinar before Christmas when I'm out in Namibia in a few weeks, chilling out, maxing, chillaxing, all that sort of stuff. If I don't get around to doing it, then thank you for you guys always tune in, and I will see you probably the other side of Christmas, if not at Stormforce. So take it easy, go and apply everything I've taught you tonight, and stay happy.